So, kid, you here for the interview?
Yeah, the guy you sent over said you needed someone to talk about some inconsequential garbage every now and then.
Yeah, the inconsequential garbage division, I getcha. Well, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you this, and you're gonna do your best to turn this into a watchable video by any means necessary.
You broke it.
We wanna see if your talents are really needed here.
Why do you say that like you're in the mob?
Just take the damn game and get out of here.
What the hell is this?
One day, I was browsing the shelves of my local game store and a few games caught my attention. Not because they looked especially good or anything, it was actually quite the opposite. They all seemed to be from the same publisher and all carried extremely basic titles, games like billiards, racing, tennis, and the topic for today's video, bowling. Now, why did I choose a game just titled bowling instead of literally anything else?
Because it was funny as hell, that's why.
I then naturally let it sit on my shelf for about a year before finally deciding to pop it in, just like a real video game collector. While I was playing it, I got kinda curious as to what this game is exactly. Okay, I can assume that much, I'm more so looking for a motive here. After some extensive sessions of looking things up on Google, I ended up learning some pretty interesting things. First was how to question my sanity, and second is that this game is part of a decently prominent series in Japan that I want to talk about because, well, it's weird.
Before I get into the finer details of the very unique series this game is a part of, let's first take a quick look at bowling for PS1. Add a bowling alley to your home, says the back of the box. That's either a suggestion or a demand, but I guess there's only one way to find out.
All good games start with an equally good title screen, and bowling for PS1 is no exception. Oh, come on, man, you can at least put some music in there, and while you're at it, put some pants on. Oh, hey, there is music, just only in the mode selection. Weird. In said mode selection, we've got 4 whole modes.
I wanna play scoreboard!
Oh, hell yeah. If you still need more to do after that, and I can't imagine why you would, you can do whatever it is you do in this game. I really can't tell. We've got 3 variations on bowling here that the back of the box for some reason considers to be 3 different games, but let's just do a round of regular bowling for now.
If this game sucks, I'm gonna fucking lose it.
You can either bowl by yourself, with a friend, or a CPU, and this is where I would normally bring my friend in to play a few rounds with me, but for some reason he isn't returning my calls. In absence of said friend, I have elected to play by myself. I could play with a CPU, but it's fucking bowling, what's that gonna change? After confirming that we are in fact lonely, we're given the option to change the properties of the balls. Now, I'm certainly no expert on the subject, so I can't really say what changing the material of the ball does, but I can at least assume what the weight will do. From what I've gathered, heavier balls knock down pins better, but they have a harder time spinning. You can also put the bumpers up here, but I graduated from the bumpers when I turned 18, so I'm not gonna do that. It is genuinely cool that they give you this much customization and agency, though. I could easily see them just not including this, and no one would really care, because why would you with a game with this box art? However, I'm knocking some points for the game's weight stat capping out at 16 pounds. I wanted to create the heaviest ball known to man, and it wouldn't let me. Starting up the round itself, yeah, this sure is just regular ass bowling. If you were expecting something else, I am so sorry. I'm not gonna sit here and go over the rules of bowling with you. I'm assuming if you're watching this then you know at least that much, but I will tell you that this game is literally just bowling. Line up the shot, adjust the speed, and try to get this bar to stop in the center of this very misleadingly named timing meter. What this actually does is apply spin to the ball, so why couldn't they have just called it the spin meter or something? I don't know. I'm honestly not too crazy about this mechanic. It makes it a real pain in the ass when you just want the ball to go straight. Now, all things considered, this is a pretty decent simulation of bowling. There's not too much of a reason to go back to it nowadays. I mean, besides the obvious, haha, this game's titled Bowling, how strange. We do, in fact, live in a post-Wii Sports world. If you enjoyed that mode, but really wished it was in space, I think, then do I have the mode for you. Welcome to Special Game. It is literally the exact same thing, but with a wider lane and more pins. The jury's still out on this actually being in space, but if it is, that's one thing off the old bucket list. Again, they consider this to be a completely separate game. If you say so. There's also this quest mode. You get a certain number of balls and have to knock down increasingly hard sets of pins. Oh, sorry, the quest mode. It's a common mistake. Again, completely separate games according to the back. I know I'm harping on that fact a lot, but come on man, it's all just bowling. The mode itself is pretty fine, but bowling is a slow-ass sport, and you expect me to climb all the way up every time I lose? There's multiple levels to this shit too, each with 10 sets of pins.
Wait, this is a bowling roguelike.
Here's some more fun little one-off things I thought were pretty funny about this game. It doesn't automatically load your save data, you have to do that manually. There's no music in the game except for this 3-second musical cue at the start of each throw. The music that plays in the mode selection stops before it really feels like it should stop. And the more I look at this box art, the funnier it is to me. Just bowling pins in the void, we've all been there.
So that was Bowling for PS1. A fine enough game, but if it wasn't for what I'd later find out about it, I definitely wouldn't be talking about it right now.
In Japan, this game and plenty of others like it that I listed earlier were all part of a line of budget games called the Simple 1500 series. Many of these games would carry on the same trend as Bowling, being pretty generic video game interpretations of a concept, with quite a few of them finding their way out of Japan and into international waters. That's right, bowling can kill you! The series title was dropped outside of Japan, but trust me, the games are still very easily identifiable. I've talked enough about bowling now, so let's look at the box of tennis for a little change of pace. As you can hopefully discern, the template for the box art is exactly the same, as well as the back and manual. Both games are extremely simple interpretations of their namesake, with tennis being even more content light. Not even any space tennis here. Why am I even here, man? I'm actually pretty curious to see what the games that never left Japan look like, and with names like The Gun Shooting and The Dungeon RPG, how could I not? That's another thing these games have in common back in Japan. They're all titled with the same format. The, insert noun and or verb here. Some of these even got sequels, including Billiards 2, baby!
Finally!
Despite most of these games being part of the same quote-unquote series, the only thing most of them really have in common is the publisher. They don't share a developer, which makes sense considering there's a hell of a lot of these games. Just for fun, let's see who's responsible for Bowling. And it's Tamsoft? Like Senran Kagura Tamsoft? That Tamsoft? Damn, they really got the right studio for the job here. Oh, they also developed One-Chanbara for the series' PS2 continuation. That really checks out. Wait, this is where One-Chanbara comes from? That's right, in the PS2 generation, this series got a soft reboot as the simple 2000 series and just kept on doing its thing. Although, this time the concept seemed to have been a little more out there. It was during this generation where the Simple series would see a release that a good chunk of you watching are probably likely to have heard of. That series being Earth Defense Force. That's right, EDF was part of this series as well. As you probably know, the series is still getting games today, still published by D3 Publisher. I said a bit earlier that this generation had a bit more variety in its concepts, and I really meant that. From what I can tell, there seems to have been a significant decrease in games where their entire thing was just sport, the game. There still were a few, such as Tennis Court Smash, no relation to Smash Court Tennis. Of course, we would get the aforementioned One-Chanbara and Earth Defense Force games. There were like 4 zombie games. This thing called The Adventures of Darwin, no not the fish. And something that sounds so insane that I just have to try it. That game being The Maid Uniform and Machine Gun, a title that speaks to us all on some primal level.
Okay, so bear with me here. You play as this robotic maid sent back in time by some dude ordering you to protect his child's self.
At least that's what this blog post from 2008 says. Disappointingly, this game was never released in English, which is a genuine shame. Like I said, I actually really want to play this. I am glad this series is only a series in name only, because I don't want to think about what that timeline would look like.
You know what? This game's alright. Despite looking completely unassuming and honestly kinda easy to make fun of on the surface, it holds water just like any good bowl should. The history behind this thing is also pretty interesting, at least to me. How was that?
What the hell was that? You barely even talked about bowling.
What the hell did you want me to do there? How much more material do you expect me to get out of just bowling?
Listen, kid, this is where I'd usually say you got potential, but let's be real here, you don't. However, our company does need someone to take the fall when things go wrong, so you're hired. Welcome to the inconsequential garbage division. You can consider this your first successful job.
Oh boy, can I get paid now?
No, piss off.
God damn it.